Stop right there. You're about to learn some seriously hard-hitting facts about pop culture, science, psychology, and the world in general. For instance, did you know that there's a fruit that tastes like chocolate pudding? How about the fact that the most prolonged bout of hiccups lasted almost 70 years? If you didn't, it's time to get comfortable and make yourself at home, because I'm Mike with List 25, and join me for 25 hard-hitting facts that'll make your jaw drop. Just like, or in my case, pop. Yeah, I could do that. There's a fact 26 for you. My jaw can dislocate. You're welcome, everyone. 25. Folding paper to the moon. Have you ever folded an A4 sheet of paper to the point where it wouldn't go any further? It usually takes about 6 to 7 folds before it becomes impossible. A few years ago, a hydraulic press took on the notorious 7th fold. When it tried to overpower the last fold, the paper literally exploded. Surprisingly, the debris resembled chalk rather than paper. Experts believe the explosion and strange transformation were caused by calcium carbonate, one of the ingredients in paper. Calcium carbonate, found in limestone, makes paper stiff and opaque. The mineral most likely collapsed due to the high pressure. As one scientist said, it failed like a cement column. This brings me back to the fact that if paper folding didn't have any barriers, we could theoretically reach the moon after 42 folds. What's more astounding is that 103 folds would take us beyond the observable universe. 24. The pleats on a chef's hat. A chef's hat, or toque, is much more than the decorative crowning joy on an otherwise bland outfit. If you know what to look for, a chef's hat can actually tell you a lot about his or her training and level of expertise. For instance, did you know that the pleats on a chef's hat used to represent every recipe a chef mastered? More recipes equals more pleats. With time, however, the pleats came to represent a chef's experience instead of the recipes mastered. It's also interesting to note that the height of the hat is also important. The taller the hat, the more senior and experienced the chef. 23. The country with the most time zones. If you think the country with the most time zones is Russia or the US, well, you're wrong. Surprisingly, it's France. It has 12, 13 if you want to count its claim in Antarctica. That high number is due to the fact that France still rules over various territories throughout the world, from the Caribbean to the Western Pacific. The US and Russia both have 11, followed by the UK, Australia, and Antarctica with 9 each, and Canada with 6. 22. Fire doesn't have a shadow. The calm and cozy atmosphere fire can bring cannot be matched. Fire, the epitome of light, crackling gently in the hearth. It's easy to imagine. Thinking about that play of light makes it seem almost illogical to say that a fire doesn't have a shadow, right? A shadow is nothing more than a dark spot caused by a solid object blocking the light. Since fire is just light and has no solidness to speak of, it doesn't have a shadow. But we've all seen fire's shadow, haven't we? As it turns out, that shadow is usually the result of warm air and soot moving in, through, and above the flames, and not because it blocks or prevents the flow of light. 21. The longest bout of hiccups lasted almost 70 years. We've all had the hiccups, but what can be a slightly annoying involuntary action that passes relatively quickly for some can be a massive issue for others. Take Charles Osborne, for instance. He had the hiccups from 1922 to June 5th, 1990, a total of 68 years. Just that fact alone leaves me with so many questions. How did he manage to eat and swallow? Did his wife sleep in the same bedroom? I mean, how do you cope with that? His hiccups inexplicably stopped 1 year before his death. At that point, he had already been married twice and had fathered 8 children. 20. You can sense when someone looks at you. How many times have you felt someone looking at you just in time to look up and straight into their eyes? Well, it's one of the human race's silent superpowers known as gaze detection. In essence, it's your brain's finely tuned ability to sense when someone's staring at you. Neurological research has revealed that the brain cells that trigger your reaction are incredibly exact. The eerie feeling quickly disappears if someone shifts their gaze away from you by turning a few degrees to the left or right. While they can't explain it, scientists believe our gaze detection is powered by a still unidentified complex neural network. 19. The state of Wyoming has only 2 escalators. Many people believe technological innovation is a natural byproduct of time, but it takes human determination and readiness to bring about change. And I'm not talking about space shuttles or 3D printers here. Some parts of the world have yet to catch up with the technology the rest of us take for granted. For example, take Wyoming and their 2 escalators. As a result of diligent investigative reporting, The Atlantic discovered that Wyoming only has 2. Each is in a different bank in the Casper area. Such is the escalator phenomenon that parents actually bring their children to look at them as a tourist attraction. As far as we can tell, the report did not affect anyone in Wyoming, since according to our research, no new escalators have been constructed since the article was published. 18. Clouds turn gray because they get thicker. Did you ever spend time looking for shapes and objects in the cloud as a kid? Those were the days. I used to love cloud gazing, but never thought about the reasons behind clouds' color. For example, did you know that yellow, orange, or red clouds usually appear that way because of the dust and haze in the atmosphere? Pink clouds are created when ice crystals scatter red wavelengths of light, and gray clouds are nothing more than clouds blocking the sun that have become thicker. In fact, without immediate sunlight, clouds can even reflect or mirror the color of the atmosphere and look blue. All the more reason to get back to it. Life is too short to forget about looking at the clouds. 17. A ripe banana next to other fruits will trigger more ripening. If you have a bowl full of fruit and vegetables you can't eat because they still need to ripen, just chuck a banana in, and they'll be ready to eat in no time. Ripening fruits produce a gas called ethylene as they ripen, which triggers more ripening. Bananas release massive amounts of it, and putting one in your bowl of apples, pears, or avocados will significantly speed up their ripening. Avocados. 16. Real diamonds won't show up on X-rays. Diamonds are one of the hardest substances you can find on Earth. The first ones were discovered in South Africa in 1867, and the industry hasn't looked back since. But did you know that they do not show up on X-rays? Because diamonds have a radiolucent molecular structure, they're transparent to X-ray images. Fake diamonds, on the other hand, have a radiopaque structure and will be picked up by X-rays. So the next time you want to know if the diamonds on your ring are real, just simply book an X-ray. Easy peasy. 15. Pieces of the same metal will get stuck together if they touch in space. This phenomenon is called cold welding, and it is as crazy as it seems. And it basically happens when 2 uncoated pieces of the same metal meet in space. Cold welding doesn't happen here on Earth, as the atmosphere creates a thin layer of oxidized material between the 2 objects. One might assume this would be a massive problem at the ISS, but as most of the tools come from Earth, they already have a handy protective coating of other materials. In fact, the only proof we currently have of this strange phenomenon so far has come from scientists experimenting to provoke this reaction. 14. There's a basketball court on the top floor of the Supreme Court. The US Supreme Court has long held the title of highest court in the land. It's well deserved, albeit metaphorically. A more literal example could be the tucked away basketball court that you can find just above the courtroom. The 5th floor of the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. once served as an archive for journals and other legal documents before it was transformed into a general-purpose workout area for off-duty staff members in the 1940s. The emphasis eventually shifted to basketball, and contractors installed a slightly smaller than standard basketball court. In recent years, justices such as William H. Rehnquist and Byron White have shot a couple of hoops there if they wanted to let off some steam. Sandra Day O'Connor also used it to host women-only yoga classes. I'm reminded of that video where he's like, that's the move that beat LeBron. 13. Apples are more effective than coffee if you need an energy boost. I know we all run for a cup of coffee if we need a quick energy boost, but according to science, an apple is actually the better choice. Bottom line, an apple will give you more energy than your favorite cup of joe, but it will come from sugar rather than caffeine. If you're looking for more reasons to eat these fruits first thing in the morning, apples have been proven to help with weight loss, lower your risk of heart disease, and boost your gut health. It probably goes without saying that they also won't stain your teeth. And if you thought that was an interesting fact, be sure to stick around for the last 3 items on today's list because we have gone all out. I don't even know what's coming. I cold read these, so come on along with me. We're going to find out together. 12. Alaska in a keyboard. Okay, this is definitely our fun fact for today, but did you know you can type out Alaska using only 1 row of keys on your keyboard? It's the only state that can be typed using only 1 row. Feel free to take a look. Feel even more free to put it to the test and let me know if you managed to get any other states typed out in a single row on your keyboard in the comments below. And again, if I'm remembering, Peru is the only country in the world that can be typed in order? No, typed on the... Yeah, I think Peru is the only country. That's coming from my brain, not the list, so I could be wrong. But I swear to God, it's Peru is also the only country that can be typed on one row. Correct me. It's what the internet loves to do. 11. Chinese police use geese squads for crime fighting. Okay, maybe we have 2 fun facts for you today. And no, I'm not kidding. The police in the province of Xinjiang prefer their winged warriors over dogs because the geese are apparently more steadfast than dogs when it comes to tackling crime. And they're also harder for criminals to neutralize than a single canine. And if you've ever been chased by a geese, you will know exactly what they mean. Geese are scary as heck. I actually like them. I think they're adorable. They're honking. And if you haven't played it, Untitled Goose Game is fantastic. 10. It's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland. If we've never left you feeling all warm and fluffy inside, well, today is the day. Switzerland must have one of the most heartwarming laws in the world when it comes to guinea pigs. You are not allowed to have just one. The Swiss have put some thought into it and based their law on the fact that guinea pigs need social interaction to be cheerful and content. Owning a single guinea pig is not only against the law, but it's also considered to be inhumane, since it's harmful to a guinea pig's overall well-being and emotional state. 9. The Olympics had an art category from 1912 to 1948. Not only did the category exist, but it actually formed parts of the Olympics nearly from the start. For the first 40 years of competition, you could win a medal if you had a talent for painting, sculpture, architecture, literature, and music. In fact, from 1912 to 1952, 151 medals were awarded to original works of fine art inspired by athletic efforts. Unfortunately, it turned into an often-looked sideshow. It also didn't help that outsiders, rather than writers, musicians, or artists, initiated the events. After the end of World War II, Avery Brundage became the president of the IOC. He had an issue with the fact that winning a medal could serve as an advertisement for the level of an artist's work, and ultimately had the category scrapped. The 151 medals awarded to the arts were officially stricken from the record and do not count towards countries' individual citation counts to this day. Aw. 8. The Spanish national anthem has no words. Have you ever noticed how little some football players' lips moves when the camera pans across their faces during a World Cup ceremony? Well, that might be because they're from Spain. The Spanish national anthem doesn't have any lyrics. In fact, Marcha Real, Royal March, has had no lyrics since 1978. The anthem used to have words, however they were thought to be too fascist. There have been several attempts to find a remedy for the wordless anthem, but until it's found, the Spanish will continue to hum, while the rest of us sing. 7. There's a fruit that tastes like chocolate pudding. Chocolate pudding is one of humanity's greatest inventions. The genius combination of chocolate's rich and comforting flavor and the creamy texture of pudding is a feat to be admired and praised. The only downside of this heavenly dessert is that it's an unhealthy indulgence. As such, you should limit your enjoyment of it unless you fancy a case of tooth decay. But what if I told you that a fruit found in Mexico and Colombia perfectly mimics the taste and texture of chocolate pudding? It's called the black sapote, or the chocolate pudding plant. The fruit is about the size of an apple and grows on trees, but shrinks and turns brown as it ripens. It has such a distinct chocolate-like taste that it's often used as a substitute for it. Why didn't my mom know about this when I was growing up? I think I'm going to ask for a refund. You know what? Scrap that. I know I'm going to ask for a refund. Mom! 6. The actors who voiced Mickey and Minnie Mouse were married in real life. Many of you may not know this, but Walt Disney did the original voices for both Mickey and Minnie Mouse before different actors took over. From 1986 to 2019, Minnie was voiced by Russi Taylor, while Wayne Allwine, Mickey's third voice at the time, had been at the helm since 1977. In a romantic twist of fate, the two voice actors fell in love while working together and were married in Hawaii in 1991. They stayed married until Wayne's death in 2009, and Russi passed away in 2019. 5. The last letter added to the alphabet was J. Today, everyone above the age of 10 knows the alphabet by heart, and everyone knows that the last letter is, without fail, Z. Or Z if you're Canadian or from literally almost anywhere else other than America. However, Z was not the last letter to be added to the alphabet. The title of last place in the race of letter recognition belongs to the letter J. Our modern alphabet originated and was adapted from the Roman alphabet, which didn't contain the letter J. That's because in Rome, J formed part of the numerals. Despite its silent beginnings, J eventually found its spot nestled between I and K in 1524. Before that, I was used to indicate both the modern I and J sounds. 4. People used to say prunes when they had their picture taken. Say prunes! God, that just does not sound right. Well, we've probably all been on both sides of the camera, and we know you have to say cheese. However, back in the Victorian era, that word was prunes. The daguerreotypist Richard Beard apparently started the trend, as he wanted his subjects to have the perfect tart mouths, the very image of respectability and decency in those days. Prunes. Open smiles were typically associated with flirtatious images and weren't acceptable. Say, prunes. Prunes. I'm gonna start doing that. Forget cheese. Prunes are back at hashtag bring back prunes. 3. The Eiffel Tower was originally meant to go to Barcelona. Paris's most iconic landmark is its tall, revered Eiffel Tower. But did you know that it was actually never meant for Paris at all? In 1887, Gustave Eiffel introduced his designs to Barcelona, but the Spaniards rejected the idea of the giant tower as they felt it needed more aesthetic appeal. He later found success in Paris, but initially, not even Parisians favored the idea. It looked far too out of place amongst the city's classical and old architecture, and many even threatened to tear it down. Despite its rough patches, though, the Eiffel Tower has become one of the most beloved landmarks in the world, an international symbol of romance and love. 2. The shortest commercial flight in the world is in Scotland. If you love flying but hate long flights, then you should head over to Scotland. They've got the shortest flight in the world. It's true. The 2-minute flight will take you from Orkney Island's Westray to Papa Westray in northern Scotland, a total distance of just 1.7 miles. The world's shortest flight celebrated its millionth passenger in 2016. No small feat for a flight that only takes 8 passengers at a time. I wonder how much that costs. I'm gonna look that up afterwards. 1. Everyone has a unique tongue print. Human beings are amazing. Just how amazing continues to make the headlines every now and then. Case in point, the 2007 discovery by a researcher named David Zhang, who realized that our tongue prints, just like snowflakes and fingerprints, are 100% unique. I have so many questions. I mean, how? Because of this unique quality, scientists are looking at new ways to incorporate a person's tongue print into biometrical identification tools. Oh, I hope we don't have to start licking our phones. Well, because hopefully they're also working on ways to keep the process sanitary while they're at it. Oh no. So, which of these facts was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out our social medias, including my personal ones, links in that description, as always. And guess what? If you like today's list, you will love the list we did a few months ago on 25 facts that'll make you question everything, where I discussed the fact that women can smell venereal diseases and looked at what exactly turns us into mosquito magnets, because I know I am. Oh boy, am I. So to go to that video, click on it right here. We have made it really easy for you. You don't have to just literally move your mouse, click it like that, just like that. Boom, that's right there. You can watch it. It's super simple and more fun and entertaining and learning. And yes, I'm still getting over the flu, so I probably sound terrible. I'm very sorry. But still click.